Hey guys, it's Jang from ultimaterc.com with my review of the Traxxas SLASH 4x4. I'm going to start out with just some overall general thoughts about the truck, and then I'm going to go into my thoughts about it from a racer's perspective and then from a basher's perspective. Now, first of all, I did a video a little while ago called My First Impressions. It's a two-part video where I just went through my thoughts on the truck after owning it for about a week. And for some reason, a lot of people who saw that video thought that that was my review. Well, that wasn't my review, that was my first impressions. Go figure. This here is my actual review. I've had the truck for a while now. I've driven it in many different conditions as a basher and also on the track. I've done a lot of tuning with it in addition to running it in box stock form. So I feel like I've got some actual experience with it now. So now I'm actually ready to give you some final closing thoughts on the truck overall. Now, when you look at this truck here, you'll notice that it's not exactly stock. I mean, obviously I've got a new body that I've put on it, and I've done some tuning to the suspension. I've got some different wheels and tires on here. I haven't cleaned it since the last time that I ran it at the track, but I guarantee you, even beneath all of that dirt from my most recent run, there are a lot of deep gouges and scratches on this chassis. No pretty shiny plastic here because, like I said, I've actually run this truck quite a bit. Overall, I just want to say for anybody out there who has not yet gotten a Slash 4x4 but is just dying to get one, you know, you've been drooling over it since it was first announced and you really just want to get it, just get it. Seriously, there's nothing about this vehicle that is a fatal flaw. You know, it's perfectly runnable. It has some flaws for sure, but it's not something where you're going to get it and just be completely disappointed. First of all, looking at it from the racer's perspective, it does have one fundamental flaw, which has led to some interesting results at races across the country. You will probably not see a lot of Traxxas 4x4s winning or placing very well in four-wheel drive, open, short course, highly contested races. And the reason for that, there's more than one reason for that, and it's not as simple as it may seem on the surface. The Traxxas SLASH 4x4 has a high center of gravity design. Fundamentally, it is not as racy in its design as the vehicles that it goes up against, its current competition on the market. If you look at it from the side, it's immediately apparent that the chassis, the main chassis portion is raised up. The diffs are much lower, front and rear, and the result of that is that your battery is sitting much higher than it needs to be, and your motor is sitting much higher than it needs to be. So that ends up increasing your center of gravity on the truck compared to the OFNA Hyper 10 SC or the Jammin SCRT, and that's just a fundamental flaw, a fundamental disadvantage that you're going to have with the Slash 4x4. As a result of that, a lot of folks who are experienced racers are going to look at this chassis and look at the competing chassis and go with the one that doesn't have that disadvantage. So as a result, you end up getting a lot of good racers who never even try the Slash 4x4. So just the fact that the Slash 4x4s are not consistently and repeatedly winning across the board in races is not completely an indication of the performance of the vehicle. I haven't raced myself in several years, but I have taken this truck out to practice and was able to go up against a brand spanking new Jammin with some hot new batteries and a hot motor in there and brand new tires. My tires had been run already for an hour. I'm using the stock motor on here, and I had some LiPo batteries that I've had for at least a couple of years. I was able to repeatedly and consistently catch up to him, harass him for as long as I wanted to, and then pass him pretty much at will. So there is a lot of race in this vehicle. And the reason for that is that the design is fairly good. If you get past the high center of gravity on it, there's a lot of tunability to it. You've got sealed diffs, front and rear, and if you get the Platinum Edition, you also get a sealed center differential, so full tunability of your differential action there. Of course, you've got the different shock mounts on the A-arms, which is actually a much wider variety of mounting options there than they have had on many of their other vehicles. You have a few options on the top for setting your progressiveness. You've got adjustable camber link length, and also a little bit of vertical position available there that you can change, so you can alter your roll centers a little bit. Toe in is adjustable in the rear as well as the front, of course, but in the rear you can you have 3 options for toe in: 3 degrees, 4.5 degrees, or 1.5 degree per side. You'll just have to buy one more set of parts, one more set of rear uprights to be able to get all 3 of those options on there. But that's available for you to change. So there is a fair amount of tunability here, and of course these are the same sort of shocks that they've been using for years, the same general diameter, whether you get the Platinum Edition that has the big bore shocks, or you get the RTR, which has the Ultra shocks, which are actually larger in bore, internal and external, than the big bores are, strangely enough, but those will fit low-C springs. And that's a good thing, because low-C springs are available in a wide range of weights, and the stock springs that come on this truck are terrible. They are absolutely terrible. I'm not ashamed to say that, and I'll say it to anybody, and I will say it forever. The stock springs that come on the Slash 4x4 are absolutely terrible. The rears that it comes with have a very wide spread between the 2 rates in their progressiveness. They're progressive springs. They have the outer coils are very soft, and they're too soft. They are specifically designed to make the truck look cool and look realistic when it's going around a track, like a real torque racing or core truck. It sags a lot in the rear. However, then once you get past that initial stage of the springs, especially in the rear, it then becomes suddenly and violently too hard. So as a result, you get a truck that sags or rolls a lot in the rear, and then it gets really, really bouncy. So especially the rear springs. The front springs aren't quite as bad, but an experienced racer is going to go out and just throw those stock springs in the garbage and replace them with some linear rate springs that are easy to tune. Like I said, the low-C springs fit right on here for the 10th scale trucks and buggies, 2 inches for the front, 2.5 inches for the rear, and then you get a lot of range of adjustability there. And of course, you can change your shock oil and your pistons. So it is definitely a raceable vehicle. Has a little bit of a disadvantage for sure versus the OFNA and the Jammin in terms of the center of gravity, but you can get around there going against them. Maintenance on the vehicle is also extremely easy, so racers, I'm sure, will love that. To remove the entire rear clip, it is 4 screws. I'm going to point them out to you here. There are 2 screws. They are 4mm, 2 screws right here, and then looking around to the underside of the truck, 2 screws right here. You take those 4 screws off, and this entire rear clip comes off, which gives you access to the center diff or the slipper clutch assembly if you've got one. And up front, it's a similar story. Here again, you've got 2 screws right here, and then from the underside, you're attached at these 2 points with the braces, and the screws for those actually come in from the top also. So 4 screws there, and then you've got your steering linkage, which also needs to be removed if you actually want to take the entire thing off. That's very convenient for doing a lot of basic maintenance work. To get to the diffs, looking at the rear, you take the bumper off with 2 screws right here, 1 screw in from the back that takes the entire bumper off, and then you can remove the diff cover with just 2 more screws right here, and then the diff just completely pulls right out, and it's a similar story up front. Very easy maintenance on this vehicle overall, fairly easy to clean out, and if you're a racer, you are used to doing regular maintenance anyhow. I think that this will be an easy truck for you to get used to.